Hi guys, Dogger here with a new video, and this video will be a what to main in Mr. Pandaria Classic, and it will come out in 1 month and a half. In 1 month you will have the pre-patch, which is the 2nd of July if I'm not mistaken, and the 21st of July there will be the release of Mr. Pandaria Classic, where you will have to level through 5 more levels from 85 to 90 to get to the end game, where you do get your rep, you do get your challenge modes, where you do get your arenas, where you do get the farm for the honor gear, the conquest gear. That's all what you have to do at level 90, but again, you have to know what class you want to play when Miss Pandaria Classic comes out. And this is actually the best time possible to level your characters through Cataclysm Classic. You don't need to buy a boost. Of course, boost could be bought, and that is not a problem, but you need to know what to boost. So this video will help you to give you a bit of insight about every single class. I'm going to speak about every single spec. Whenever I feel like I have not enough information about a specific spec, I'll be saying that. I'll do class per class so you can follow, and you will see the character change whenever I'm talking about a specific class. Now, I'm going to start with Warlock because that is the one I have played the most on the beta, but also just in general, I am a Warlock main. I love playing Warlocks throughout the expansions. I would say in Cataclysm it is the least favorite version of Warlock because it feels that Destruction doesn't have the oomph from Chaos Bolt, and that is what I love about Warlock, to be able to like destroy someone with a big Chaos Bolt. But also like Affliction, it misses like a button to I would say deal damage, which Affliction Warlock gets Malfic Grasp, and that is actually like a game changer for Miss Pandaria Affliction Warlock. And Demonology Warlock is a bit more specialized, where your Metamorphosis becomes a standalone button with like a bar, and you can fill the bar, and then you can spend that Metamorphosis bar throughout the spells that you're going to use while you are morphed. So it is not really a CD, it's more like the more actions you do, you are going to fill the bar and you're going to spend it. Let's say you know League of Legends, it is a bit of a Shivana thing, so you have a bar, it is purpose as a CD, and you fill the bar and then you can spend it while you are morphed, and once you are morphed, your spells do change. So, what do you expect from Warlock? Well, you have 3 DPS specs, and as you may know, Warlock is actually very decent in Miss Pandaria. I would say a lot of people were like a bit more scared about Warlock before the beta came out, especially for PvP. I am a PvPer, so I'm going to talk mostly in a PvP standpoint. But Warlock, they were very scary before the beta came out, and then the beta came out, they fixed the resilience, and then Destruction Warlock is a bit more manageable. I would still say that it is still very nice to play. It feels like a tank, because you are able to self-sustain. You are like really a drain tank, where you're going to deal damage and you're going to have those embers, and you can spend those embers to self-sustain or to spend for extra damage. And I think it's a really good gameplay. It feels like you can really do 1v2s, you can do 1v1s, and it feels like you are like good in double DPS comps because of that. So I find it very fun. Affliction Warlock is like the more meta spec if you're thinking about 3v3, for example, because it has more spread pressure. You don't need to cast nearly as much as Destruction Warlock, and you have pressure from your UA, which is like a Dispel Protection, which is super strong in PvP. And then Demonology Warlock, obviously, it is less of a PvP spec, it's more of a PvE spec. You can make it work in PvP, but it is a bit clunky because it is around Soulfire. Like, it doesn't, like, your Hand of Gul'dan becomes then like changed in morph, and your Shadow Bolt becomes like a claw. So that's all, like, all things that you have to consider. Like, it is possible to enjoy PvP as Demonology Warlock. I do believe like it is just not really the best spec, so most people are going to go into Destruction or Affliction. My personal preference for Warlock is Destruction Warlock, because you have Chaos Bolt being like really a big hitter, and you have Incinerate also hitting a lot, obviously, but your Chaos Bolt is like the one-hit machine, and it really shows whenever you have Havoc, and you're doing a double chaos bot, it really feels like a lot of damage is going to go through. It is not like in Cataclysm where you do only spend chaos bot because there is an absorption on the way, and oftentimes it is not even like worth the cost. You just want to do incinerates. Like chaos bot is really like worth the cost. Like you want to spend your chaos bot. If you have the choice, if you have the leisure to actually cast that, you will cast that. So I like that. So let's talk about warrior. So I have played arms, I have played fury. Protection I've played just a bit, but for protection my opinion will be a bit less advised, I would say. So it will not be like great for you to hear my opinion about protection because I don't really care about tanking. I think tank PvP in MOP is at its weakest, like in the classic expansions. I think in Wrath, Protection Warrior was really serviceable in PvP, very strong actually. But like in Miss Pandaria, it is not as much impact. You can make it work probably, but it's not like something you're going to be scared of. But Arms Warrior is going to be the meta S tier spec for PvP. It is really strong. Your Moral Strike becomes like our support ability pretty much, like you want to do a Moral Strike to get the Moral Strike effect. But the big hitter is Slam. And you have a lot of abilities that are going to work with Slam, and your Colossus Smash especially. You want to actually have a setup where you have a Colossus Smash and you have your Slam and your many talents that you would get from the tree that will help you as well. I think in the whole Arms Warrior Miss Pandaria, it is like an iconic spec. Thinking about the banners as well, you can also intervene on the banners as well. You have many abilities to actually self-sustain, so you have your self-sustain abilities, you have also your die by the sword, you have also your shield, what is it called? Shield wall, and you have also your recklessness on a 3-minute CD. So it's really strong. Like you're going to have a great time playing arms. Fury is, I think, a bit memed about. I think it's pretty decent. It's not as bad as you may think. I think most people are just going to go naturally into arms, so that's why people are like putting it D tier on like the power level scale for PvP. But I feel like it's not a D tier class spec. If you play Fury and you go into a BG or you go into an arena, you can definitely like one-tap people if you have the right procs. It is a bit clunky to play because it is like based around enraged, so you can do your raging blows. I understand, but I think a lot of people are like underestimating because they don't see Fury Warriors and they assume like everyone's going to go arms, so that's why it's S tier. And since arms is S tier, there is no reason to play Fury, so that is D tier. I think very much the opposite. I think Fury Warrior is at a serviceable B tier. Like it's a good melee, it does its job. It has a Moral Strike on its left strike, the wide strike one, and that is spammable as well. I think the damage is also quite good, and defensives are present. You have all the defensives that arms has, Fury has it as well. So I feel like a lot of people are like memeing it without any reason and without like actually really thinking about, because if you're thinking about it, yes, most people are going to play arms, but it doesn't take away the power from Fury. The same for a mage, where a mage is the best at Frost, but it doesn't mean that Fire and Arcane are really bad. It just means that Frost is the best, so everyone is going to converge into Frost. But Fire and Arcane are going to be decent at what it does depending on the comps and depending on your playstyle. If you don't want to play Frost, then it's okay. You can still play Fire and Arcane and do decent. I have the same opinion for Arms and Fury. Obviously Arms is going to be if I play Warrior, because again, I'm not really decided. If I play Warrior, I need to level it first as well. But I'll be mostly Arms, but I would not be like against being able to play Fury sometimes. But that's my opinion. Shaman. So that is also a character that I've played many times. On the beta, but also just in general, I just play Shaman. Like that's also one of my mains on retail, on classic, in like all versions of classic as well. Played in Cataclysm as well as a Shaman, and I'm enjoying it. Everything that Cataclysm has, Elemental Shaman, Enhancement Shaman, becomes way better in Miss Pandaria because you have Ascendance as well. So it means that you have a lot of oomph. You also have a lot of self heals and off heals with your Ancestral Guidance. You have your Healing Tide Totem. You have Capacitated Totem, so literally you have a stun as a Shaman, which you didn't have. You have Totemic Projection, so it's easier to even set up that stun. You still have loads of utility. If you are going to talk about spec per spec, Restoration Shaman is going to be one of the best, if not the best healer in like Miss Pandaria Classic. It's going to be insane. I think it's also very fun. It's very demanding keybinds wise. It's very demanding on the skill cap wise. So you still need to learn how to play Restoration Shaman, because you have such a tool set that if you're not utilizing it, you're going to play a half a Shaman, but you're going to have pretty much a lot of success. If you played well in Cataclysm, you're going to mostly play well in Miss Pandaria Classic as well. For Elemental Shaman, I have made a video about it if you're like interested about like a more of a deep dive, but my opinion is that it is like one of the best, if not the best iteration for Elemental Shaman, like all versions aside, like Retail, Legion, Walls of Draenor, whatever version you're thinking. I do believe this version is the most clean Elemental Shaman version, where it is not like pure filler spells or pure procs. I feel like your Lava Surge is like tuned very well, so you're not like doing a Lava Burst machine kind of thing that you're doing in Retail, but your Lightning Bolt also does a lot of damage, and you still have that Earth Shock that is tied to Fulmination, so you still have like a incentive to spend that Earth Shock onto a big Fulmination proc where you're going to destroy someone. You have also many talents that you're going to be able to pick depending on situations and still have a lot of fun with it. You can go full haste, you can go full mastery, you have a lot of things that you can go as a Elemental Shaman, and I think that's quite fun. I think it's also fun that you are self-sustaining as well. You have CC, you have your defensives, you have your off heals. It's a good hybrid caster that you can play in Miss Pandaria Classic. Then you have Enhancement Shaman, which I think playstyle wise it is better than Cataclysm. It is not my favorite version of enhancement that comes either before Cataclysm or either after Miss Pandaria, which I think Walls of Draenor, for example. But I still think it's a good version, at least better than Cataclysm. You have Ascendance, which you can literally one-tap people. Not really when they have gear, but if they are like not geared or they're not using their defensives, they just get one-tapped. You have multiple defensives, you have great off heals, you have great pressure, and it's like all the time. Like it's not like only able to like eliminate people with Ascendance, but you can also just win matches without Ascendance. Your Storm Strike does damage, your Lava Lash does damage, your Elemental Blast is super fun, it's super crispy, does a lot of damage, gives you stats as well. You still have many totems, and you have Healing Tide as Enhancement Shaman, so you have some off-heal capacities. You have your Capacitated Totem, which is even more fun as Enhancement Shaman, because then you can be able to catch up onto enemies. You have like an anti-root, anti-snare totem, you have your root Frost Shock, or you have your root totem, so Earthbind. I find it very fun to play. Now, obviously, you cannot play every single class. Do I recommend Shaman to like everyone? No, I think it's very specific. If you don't want to play around totems, then it's already excluded for you. If you are like very hard at finding keybinds, it's also very excluded for you, because it's very hard to actually like have keybinds for Shamans for people that are like without like any keybinds, or like keybind-less, or like they don't have a lot of keybinds. Then I would recommend other classes. I also think like you need to love the hybrid aspect of Shaman, because if you're doing only damage, you're thinking only about damage, I think Shaman itself is not the best damage dealer. So you're playing a support spec for Elemental Shaman or Enhancement Shaman. If you are thinking about like you want to be able to support your warrior, or you want to support your warlock or your mage or your hunter, or you want to support your death knight, or you want to support your monk, I think that class is really good. But if you're thinking like you want to be the MC, I think other classes can do that job better. Now, talking about priests, I'm going to talk about the 3 specs. I have tested the 3 specs. Truthfully, if you are from Retail or you're playing like previous expansions, We all know that Disc Priest is the meta PvP spec, normally. And I say normally because in Cataclysm, Disc Priest is meta over Holy Priest, Wrath, Disc Priest over Holy Priest, TVC, Disc Priest over Holy Priest. Even in Classic, Disc Priest were more prevalent than Holy Priest in PvP, just PvP, in PvE it's different. In Warlords of Draenor, in Legion, in BFA, in Shadowlands it did change. Holy Priest was very, very popular, but whatever, that was Season 3 kind of thing. And then you have, obviously, the War Within, like right now, and Dragonflight. Disc Priest was always the go-to PvP spec at all times, and you had like some seasons where Holy Priest became like the #1 spec. Well, Miss Pandaria is the exception. It is just bad. Disc Priest is not like impressive. It's probably good in PvE, but in PvP, it just is clunky. And unfortunately, I think it is like that's why it got like reworked as well, because it didn't work. I think you can make it work as Disc Priest, but there is actually no reason for you to play Disc Priest. If people are like saying that Arms is S tier and Fury is D tier, then you could do the same for Priest as well, because if Holy Priest exists, there is actually no reason to play Disc Priest. Now, you can make it work, just play it if you want to. I am not a healer main and I have difficulties in healing, so I prefer not to play the underdog spec, and you are going to play the underdog spec if you're playing Disc. You're pretty much playing the worst spec, like healing spec in the game. It's not the worst spec of the game, because there are other specs for that. But I think Disc Priest, if you're like thinking about like you want to be the underdog, well, Disc Priest is it. Shadow Priest, very strong. You're going to see a lot of Shadow Priest in like those God comps, in Shatter. You have a lot of ways to play your Priest, where you can play with a Hunter, you can play with a Mage, you can play even with a Warrior, you can play with a Warlock, you can play with a Druid even, you can play with anyone, and it's going to be functionally very strong, and your CC is there to win games. You have also somewhat of a gameplay switch with your Shadow Orbs, because based on that you can do a longer stun, based on that you do more damage on your Devouring Plague, how you generate it. It can feel a bit clunky. For me, it feels clunky to play. But what I've heard from multiple people, they like this iteration of Miss Pandaria Classic Shadow Priest. That's more of a opinion of me to say that for me it is kind of a step back to Cataclysm, but that's because I liked Cataclysm Shadow Priest, and Miss Pandaria Classic it feels a bit clunky to play, in my opinion. Now again, it's very strong, so there is nothing wrong to pick Shadow Priest over like any other class. I think this like version of Shadow Priest is really good, and you can play and you can make it work in many comps. You can play also 2v2, and you will win with just based on CC, and I think that's also quite fun. Holy Priest, top 3 healer maybe. Can I call it like that? Top 3, because I think about Resto Shaman and I think about Resto Druid. And I think then about Holy Priest. It isn't interchangeable because it depends on like comps. I still think RMP, even if people are saying like that it's not the best comp in the game, it still is working because Mage is super strong and Rogue is like really good as well at setuping the Mage. And Priest is there to offer a fear or to be able to like do some great healing. I would not choose Priest for healing, like if I had to choose, because it's not really my cup of tea. I prefer Disc Priest, and Disc Priest is just unfortunately not that good, so there is no reason for me to run a Priest. Now that aside, I think it is a great choice if you're thinking about like a caster that is also able to heal and DPS, and you can like choose many comps for that class and make it work. Rogue. Well, Rogue, it's mostly sub. You will see mostly sub. You can make work assassination rogue and a combat rogue, but the main spec is sub. It is not a real rogue expansion. It is definitely a step back from Cataclysm, not on design but on power, because on Cataclysm you had your legendary dagger, you have like your S tier moment. In my books, Rogue currently doesn't feel S tier. Now, that doesn't take away that Rogue has like many great comps, so it can feel S tier because of those comps. But then you have to decide, like, is it because of the Mage, or because of the Balance Druid, or because of the Death Knight, or the Paladin, or the Warrior, or whatever comp you're playing? Is it because of them that you're winning, or is it because of you as a rogue that you're winning? That's something you have to decide for yourself. I think Sub Rogue is fantastic, like gameplay wise, it does a lot of damage. I think it's also very slippery, survives a lot of damage, and it just is like, design wise, more than Cataclysm. Just is like they're lacking the legendary dagger that they had from Cataclysm. And if you're playing with like Cataclysm Rogue and you go to Miss Pandaria, you're going to feel a bit of emptiness because of that. I think Assassination Rogue is also quite fun. I like it. Like, it's not the cup of tea of everyone. I think you are lacking the great things that are making Sub Rogue better. But if you want to have fun in PGs, you want to have fun in open world, if you want to have fun in whatever, I think Assassination is great. And Outlaw in Combat Rogue, I'm saying Outlaw because of retail, but it's Combat Rogue. You can cheese people with Killing Spree. Like, is it like great? Well, it depends. For a lot of subjective facts, like subjective thoughts about Combat Rogue and how you see it in the meta. I think design-wise, it is better than retail, so it's a step to the right direction. But if I want to play Rogue, I would be mostly playing Sub Rogue or Assassination at the end. Now Druid, well, it is still a god class in the extent where Balance Druid is going to be probably very popular in Miss Pandaria. It's already very popular in Cataclysm right now. And I think any iteration of Boomkin, Miss Pandaria is going to be the most popular one, because everyone knows that they smoothen out the edges from Cataclysm Balance Druid. They made it even better. You have your Root Beam, so the iconic Root Beam. So you have your beam that silences, then you have an ability that has a root, and you can make a macro because it's off GCD, and you have a root beam. So basically, you make someone stuck in that silence, and it becomes very powerful. The Treants are doing rafts as well, so they are not melee anymore. And you have your incarnation, which is like a big city. You have your celestial diamonds, big city. At the end, very strong spec. Resto Druid is even better. I think it's also like, if you're playing from retail, it feels weird to be able to just heal with Rejuve and Live Bloom, and then you have your Regrowth, you have your other spells that helps with maintaining someone alive, but you can actually heal through some damage with just 2 hots. In retail, that doesn't happen. Like, your hots are like improving your big heals with Regrowth. It's very weird. If you're playing retail, you will understand what I mean. I think Resto Druid is fantastic. You have your Symbiosis as well. I didn't talk about it with Balance Druid, but Symbiosis, you can have an Ice Block, basically. You can have a Divine Shield, basically. You have many things that you can have with Symbiosis that are really strong. I personally like this version of Druid. I love this version of Druid. I think the next expansions just take away from Druid instead of like adding up. And I think Miss Pandaria is like the best version of Druid if you're thinking about like purely on a design level. And Feral Druid, it's also very strong. Now, it's a bit weird to play because again it's different from Cataclysm, and that's something you need to test it for yourself. Personally, I'm not really a Feral Druid main. If I play Druid, it's either Balance Druid or Resto Druid. It's also super easy to gear because you have Balance Druid gear. You can actually you can actually go to Resto Druid without any issue. While if you have Feral Druid gear, it's very hard to actually transition to the other 2 specs. And then Garden Druid, which is like, again, it got reworked if I'm not mistaken. I have no real opinion about like the tank version of Druid. Again, not really my thing. If I have to tank, it would be Blood. Blood Decay, but that's it. So would I recommend Druid? I think that's the expansion where you would recommend Balance Druid to everyone, and Restore Druid could be recommended to everyone as well. So very good class. It's probably on my list of like mains to play first. Now Warlock is going to probably be it, but again, I'm going to enjoy Miss Pandaria Classic to the fullest. So I'm going to level 3 or 4 characters. Those are going to be my mains. Normally you only have one main, but I'm going to go like hard on Miss Pandaria. I think this is the moment to actually enjoy. So again, it's on my list. Hunter. Now Hunter is really good in I think all the classes are very good, but Hunter is the ultimate class in Miss Pandaria, and when I'm saying that, it's because the 3 specs are really good. Like Survival Hunter is a lot of magical damage, like literally your mastery is magical damage, but it is a lot of magical damage. It does a lot of damage, and your traps very good, and you're very good at kiting. I find it very fun to play. I find Survival Hunter the most fun spec of Hunter in my opinion for Miss Pandaria. Then you have MM, which literally bombards people, and if you do freezing trap someone, you get like crit. You have a glyph where you can have basically a 100% crit, and you're going to destroy someone with aim shot. You can also cast aim shot while moving because you have a glyph for that as well. It's literally just better than Cataclysm, so there is no reason for you to like drop it. If you like Cataclysm, you're going to like Miss Pandaria as well. And BM Hunter becomes even stronger because you have more abilities, more talents that are going to work with you to make it better. I find like that they are all the 3 specs like in the A tier category of like power, I would say, to PvP, like what classes are strong, what classes are weak. Well, I think Hunter as a whole is a A tier, and you could even consider to S tier if you're thinking about like specific comps. It depends on how you see the game. If you're thinking like comp wise or class level wise, I do believe like Hunter is really high on the list. Like you cannot go wrong playing Hunter. If you're thinking about like a spec that has 3 DPS spec, like a class that has 3 DPS specs, because you are like quite someone that can get boring over time. The 3 versions of Hunter is like Survival, BM, and MM. They play vastly different to each other. So it's probably the best time to play Hunter if you're thinking about it, and I find it quite fun. And you have Stampede, which is like a iconic ability as well. You have a lot of self heals. You have Disengage, which is like less clunky than Cataclysm because you can do it off nothing. So that's also quite fun. Can I reconnect like this, please? Normally I can. And yeah, I think this is like, again, you have the Terrans, like 2 stacks of that as well. Like you have a lot of great things. So yeah. DK. Well, DK is my go-to melee. Now I'm going to be honest. I'm going to talk about like power level wise. Frost DK lags behind, unfortunately, because they made multitude of nerfs before the end of the patch. At the end of the patch, you didn't get a buff, so it feels like a bit like it is not doing well, and you are not tanky, so it feels worse. Now, the gameplay, I still like it. They made the changes design wise that is correct, but I think like they ate too many nerfs from a certain point in Miss Pandaria, which they didn't recover from. While Unholy Decay, they are fantastic. They do a lot of spread pressure. Still, Necrotic Strike helps a ton as well. And you have probably one of the best rot comps available to you. You can play Unholy Decay Affliction Warlock, which is super disgusting to play. You can play Unholy Decay with Feral Druid. You can play Unholy Decay with a BM Hunter, for example. Like, it's a lot of free damage. And I think, I truly believe that if you are playing DK, try to think that you're going to play Unholy, and you can try to play Frost. You will see what I'm saying. Like, power-wise, it feels like wrong. It feels bugged. That's how I felt whenever I tested in arenas and I tested in BGs. yeah, I personally would recommend everyone to test it out if they have a DK. If you like the design, keep on going, but expect to play Unholy. Blood is not as strong in Miss Pandaria as in Cataclysm PvP wise. I'm talking PvP. Um, you're not going to see them a lot. Like in Cataclysm, you could literally see Blood DK everywhere because they had a lot of damage, but also a lot of sustain. But in Miss Pandaria, a lot of the DPS specs have sustain, so your great point that you had, which is sustain, everyone has it, so it's not like that iconic anymore. So that's why you will not see blood decays in arenas in 2v2, for example, or if you will see them, they're going to fall on their face if you know how to press buttons, basically. Now Monk, I didn't play too much, but I can talk about it. Mistweaver is really fun. Now I would say that it depends on how you see what's fun. It doesn't do damage, and the CC is good, but it's not like fantastic. It actually heals very well, but again, a lot of cost its abilities, so you have to see for yourself. It's very specific. It's a love-hate relation, pretty much. If you like it or not, that's like visceral. Like it's either you love it or you hate it. You don't really grow fond of it, in my opinion. And most monks, they're going to play monk because of Windwalker. Like from my many discussions that I had with people, Windwalker is one of the most fun versions in Miss Pandaria. Having Fist of Fury, being able to stun people, having your images, and they can do a lot of damage. You can also throw the images on like other people, so you could like burst multitude of people at the same time. You have a lot of comps at your disposal. So many people are saying like, why play Windwalker if you can play arms? Well, I disagree. I think Windwalker has a lot of great matchups where arms are going to probably have a bit of a like more of a generalistic matchup where you are not able to auto win. Windwalker has that. I think also defensive wise, it's very strong as well. It's very annoying. You cannot really duel a monk because they can just touch off karma. So it depends on what class you're playing, but many classes are like, oh, I cannot do anything for 10 seconds. So I think Windwalker, very fun. Mistweaver, very good, but fun is very subjective. And I would say, like the tank spec, I have no real knowledge about it, so I'm not going to talk about it. Now, Paladin, Retribution Paladin is more or less, like, can I say the same as Cataclysm? Well, for me, it is better than Cataclysm, but it kind of pushes again. Like Holy Power is still a thing that people don't like to play around. Like it has been so many expansions that they kept it, so Holy Power is still a thing in retail. It's really you either love it or not. It does incredible damage. It has great CC actually for a utility class, and it has great off heals. Like your Word of Glory still heals a ton. You still have your immunities. I think it's one of the most popular class specs as well. I think it's going to be like one of the DPSers that are going to get level 90 first. Out of all the people are going to play Paladin if they have to choose a DPS. And what I like about Paladin is you have also Holy Paladin at your disposal, so you can swap gameplay if you want to. And Protection Paladin, I can't really talk about that. Holy Paladin is losing a lot of stuff from Cataclysm, but gaining back as well. I think Radiance is in a nerfed version, so it heals for less. But I do believe like every single target heal is improved from my understanding. Now, is Paladin something I can like safely recommend to everyone? I think it is one of those classes that you can actually safely recommend to everyone that wants to tank, heal, and DPS. It is not as like bad at movement as like previous versions of the game because your judgment gives you speed. In general, you are like very bursty, and it feels fun to press wings. And it has been fun since like Cataclysm pretty much. In Wrath, wings is a bit tough, but like in Cataclysm, in Miss Pandaria, I think it is really strong to press your abilities. So you have defensives, you have your utility, you have your off heals, and Harsh is still a great ability like stun, point and click, literally. So very good. So Paladin, I recommend. Mage. Now I didn't play Mage on the beta because I already know how Mage is. Um, it is going to be the if you have Bronze Druid as the popular class like caster, Mage is really close. Like you're going to see Frost Mages every single arena match. It is really strong, deep freeze, a lot of roots. You have DB, you have like so many abilities that are like. Do you have DB? I don't remember. You have your orb, you have your instant damage. You can literally like destroy someone from 100 to 0 the first second of the match. Like you just need to have a deep freeze and that's it. You can go. You have double ice block. You are very annoying to catch, and in general, you are like the best caster in the game. Like it's S tier. Like there is not no denying it. It is the best. And you can play with like a lot of classes, if not all classes. You can also play double mage. You can even play triple mage and do well. So it's really annoying. Fire mage is very bursty. I actually like fire mage. I think that's again one of the best versions for fire mage because then it became like more of a combust machine. But even without combust, you can actually do something in Miss Pandaria. But in retail, without combust, you're not doing anything. You're just waiting for combust. That's the version I like about mage, like a fire mage, being able to do damage and deal damage whenever you feel like you can actually deal damage. Yeah, I personally think fire mage is more fun than frost. And then arcade mage is like it's the third best spec, I would say. Like they are definitely worse than fire or frost. But you can still do better, I think, at PvP than Cataclysm. I think Cataclysm it's a bit more memey, but I would say that in Miss Pandaria Classic it becomes like very very strong, but gets outshadowed by Frost Mage and Fire Mage. So I've talked about every single class. Um, Now that's how you could decide on the class that you're going to play. Please let me know what class you're going to play in Miss Pandaria Classic.